my goodness. Hello.
Hello. Let's turn my volume up.
Awesome. Can you hear me? Is my volume okay?
Perfectly. Perfectly. How are you?
Oh, we might have a bit of a delay, but happy Friday. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? Oh,
awesome.
I have a guest in the background. He likes to get a little rambunctious when all eyes aren't on him, so I apologize ahead of time.
That's okay. I have two at home who have this same thing. They hear somebody else's voice and they say, why aren't you talking to me?
Exactly.
Partake in an adult beverage? I hope not.
I had his favorite toy ready just in case he got a little loud halfway in, and it seems like he didn't want to wait for it. So.
Well, that's okay. Welcome to the party.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of our comments says, Frankie the boss says, it sounds like a bar dog. So he's welcome to the party.
Yeah, he's definitely fitting the description for sure.
Well, welcome to Two Martini Lunch. This is the first time I am getting to see your face. It is a pleasure to get to know you a little bit. Now, first things first, do you prefer Vinny or Vincent?
It's funny. For the first 20, 21 years of my life, I always introduced myself as Vincent, and I realized that only my mother calls me that. So in Vinny, Vin, Vincenzo, I respond to all of them. So I don't have a preference, but Vin or Vinny is the quickest. So if
awesome.
either of those work for you.
So it's really just Vincent when you're getting in trouble kind of a thing?
Pretty much, and I still have my fair share of trouble, so I'll hear it every once in a while.
Well, I will do my best to refrain, but for everybody who is just joining us, I'm Katie Long with the Splinter Group Spirits, joined by Vinny Rossetti, who is with Eater Brothers Distributing in Connecticut, and today we are going to be mixing up some cocktails and having a fun. So hope that you have something in your glass at home and can join us from afar. And if you have any questions about where to find Splinter Group Spirits, including the Whipsaw Rye, which I have just above my shoulder, or the Partner Sweet Vermouth, you can go to our bio here on Instagram or the website, thesplintergroupspirits.com. And we have your libation recipe up on our website. So if anybody wants to make the beverage that we're about to whip up, they can certainly go to our website and find out some more information. So why don't you get rolling and tell us what you're going to be making today?
Sure. So I had originally, for our little talk, made a Manhattan, and we had planned this a couple of weeks ago when it was still a little bit chilly. But because I knew we were getting into nicer weather when we were going to be doing this, I wanted to do something a little lighter, a little more refreshing. So what we have is a cocktail I'm calling Adult Recess because it's just supposed to be light, fun, enjoyable, something you can sit outside and sip on and enjoy a nice day. In creating the cocktail, I wanted to keep that in mind. And when I'm making a cocktail, I always want to start with 2 or 3 flavors that I really want to show in the cocktail, and then take it from there and see what matches up well. So being that it's nicer weather, I'm a big fan of watermelon, so I really wanted to incorporate that into the cocktail. And then from there, I just started thinking what goes great with watermelon. I wanted to include our partner Vermouth here. And if anybody out there has had the Vermouth yet, you get this amazing, basil-driven oregano mid-palate. And I really wanted to make that shine. And knowing from, numerous cookouts, you see watermelon and basil going very well together.
Yeah.
So I wanted to accentuate the basil, bring the watermelon, and incorporate the rye whiskey. A little bit of, off the beaten path, but...
Let's see, I'm going to try and put up a picture of some of the ingredients from this cocktail. So this, I just took this morning. So I've got my watermelon, lemon, we've got an egg, we've got some basil, some honey, and a splash of seltzer water. What you can't see behind my face in my background is that we've got the bottle of whiskey, our Whipsaw Rye. So it's kind of got the spicy notes. I bet that really is kind of fun to play with. And then the Partner Sweet Vermouth, which is just, to me, it almost it feels like a caprese salad. It feels like summer. So I love that you were taking a leap and wanting to make something fun with it.
Exactly. It is a vermouth in its own category. I've tried plenty of vermouths out there, and I look forward to trying more. And this one stands out in its sort of own right just because of those herbal-driven flavors it really has on the mid and back palate. The flavor goes for days.
To me, it almost feels a bit like a mix between a liqueur of sorts and also a vermouth. That it is aromatized. It is a red wine based. It's got Merlot, but these really incredible Montmorency cherries, and then just the flavors of Napa summer. It has bay leaves and it has some of these really exotic spices that when they come together, it really just does feel like a Napa Valley summer. So.
Exactly. And to that regard, I was having Partners Vermouth with a little bit of ginger ale on the rocks the other day. It was sublime. Nice, low alcohol cocktail, easy sipper, but still tons of complexity, lots of flavor, something really nice to enjoy when you just want a little bit.
Really refreshing.
Yes.
I have to say, I like to also mix it in a Negroni. It gives it a whole new twist.
Yeah, and our buddy Robbie Williams, he recommended using it to marinate steak as well. And I haven't given that a try yet. I just recently broke out the grill, but I'm certainly looking forward to it.
Well, we'll need some updates. We can maybe have a partner recipe that features steak instead of...
Absolutely. Maybe I'll get somebody who's a little better with cooking than I am to feature on your next episode, but I'll definitely give it a try.
There we go. The 2 Martini lunch really just becomes a little bit more food driven. We'll get a chef out here. As soon as we can start having more of these gatherings, it'll be a lot more fun.
Absolutely.
Sweet. Well, I'll start mixing, and I've got a video that I did today that I will put up in my background and kind of show what I did. And I hope you don't think that my Bartenders Guild Association card would be taken away, because you're going to see all the ways that I broke the rules. So this is an antithesis to the proper way that you're going to be mixing up your cocktail.
Well, you give me a little too much credit. There's certainly, a ton of different ways to skin a cat. And there's a lot of proper ways or different ways to make cocktails and incorporate ingredients. But at the end of the day, if what you're making tastes good and you love it, I'm not going to be too picky on how you made it, because it's, sometimes there's too much conjecture of trying to figure out how to muddle this and how to put that together. So if it tastes good at the end of the day, that's a win in my book.
Sounds awesome. I'll drink to that. And while you're getting mixing, I will go ahead and start pouring my cocktail.
Perfect. All right. So what I did just before we jumped on was I already slapped and muddled our basil. So that's in the bottom of my shaker here. And when you give that basil a little slap, what you're doing is really releasing those oils, and the aroma really comes out. And if you're at a bar or if you have people over and you're preparing that cocktail, once those oils activate and you get those aromas going, people are going to turn their heads because they're going to smell that fresh basil. And I wish, maybe one day we'll be able to have that Instagram with the smell that will come through, because it smells wonderful in here now, but, maybe that's down the road. So I have that muddled. And then what I'm going to do is start to add my other ingredients. So if you'll excuse me, my bar is set up back here, so I'm going to try and see you guys while I'm still doing my stuff back here.
Perfect.
So I have my basil in there. And what I'm going to start with is my watermelon juice. Now, this is just freshly blended watermelon. What I like to do is, after blending it in the Ninja, I like to just put it through a cheesecloth to really get the heart of the juice there. You can see there's no heady foam there. That filtering process really takes it out and gets the core of the juice that you want without all the extra frothiness. So what I'm doing is I'm starting with an ounce of this. I'm going to get that right in there. All right. I've got my honey syrup here. I am doing a half an ounce of I'm sorry, 3/4 of an ounce on the honey juice. I'm doing a half ounce of the lemon.
And when you make honey syrup, you're just mixing half honey, half water. So
Yes, yeah.
To mix in.
Yeah, honey syrup is the same concept as a simple syrup, but instead of sugar, you're using honey. You can do the same thing with agave. And boiling that with water 1-to-1 is going to bring the viscosity down, so it's going to mix easier. If you use straight honey in there, you might end up seeing it sitting at the bottom of your shaker or your cocktail if it makes it in there. Diluting it helps you bring a little more volume to the cocktail, as well as helps it mix a little better. So next we're going to add our whipsaw rye whiskey. We'll talk about this while we have it in our hands. This is a really great rye, I think, to introduce people to the category that is rye. It's got the spiciness that you'd expect. It's incredibly well balanced. You get those rich notes from the barrel finish process that it goes through. And I'll certainly let you talk through that more later because you know it better than anybody. And just the whole flavor profile has that deep richness. And at first I was a little concerned that it might overshadow the watermelon and the lemon in here, but it really brings balance and really explodes those flavors surprisingly well. So after that, I'm going to do a 1/4 ounce of our sweet vermouth here. That's going to add a little bit of certainly dark, richer color. Going to give it this beautiful, sexy burgundy color once we finish. And it's going to bring those basil flavors through. It's going to add the richness, a little bit more depth to it. And that's where the adult part of the cocktail comes in, is a little more complexity. And next we're going to add our egg. Now, if you're clumsy like I am, I recommend cracking the egg over a separate bowl and doing that. So number one, you don't have to worry about any egg yolk getting in there. Number two, obviously, the shell you don't want in there as well. So I've got my bowl over here, or my cup rather. I'm just going to crack it over the sink.
Perfect. And we did have some conversations about 2-egg, not to egg, or even egg alternatives. So I happen to make it both ways. The one that I'm drinking right now has no egg. And then I, at home, ended up using aquafaba, or the leftover bean juice from canned chickpeas, because the egg in this cocktail really just provides incredible mouthfeel and texture. And some people might be a little freaked out about putting an egg in a cocktail. And if that's the case, great. You could try leaving it out. You could try the aquafaba, or even just try the egg. So that's kind of up to you, whatever you're feeling. But it does provide a really good viscosity. That's kind of fun.
Certainly. And then if you buy the, if you're going for something a little quicker and you buy the canned chickpeas and you use the aquafaba from that, then you have an excuse to make hummus afterwards. So it's a win-win.
I love it. And it would probably pair beautifully with the cocktail. And we've got our summer entertaining all set.
Exactly. Hummus is a big win for me. I'm a big fan. Get some nice tahini and you work it through. It's going to be good.
Awesome.
So what we're going to do with that, we have all of our ingredients in our shaker here, and I haven't added ice yet. The reason is when we're shaking with an aquafaba or an egg white, what the ice is going to do is it's going to mute our beautiful foam, which is really one of the things that we're adding egg white for, is that beautiful top layer foam. When you put ice in there, it definitely does not allow those proteins in the egg white or in the aquafaba to really expand. So giving it what we call a dry shake is going to help those proteins really expand. So we'll just kind of give it a little love here.
So the dry shake is just the egg white in the shaker by itself first, just so that we can denature those proteins properly, and then you build your cocktail on top of that. So if anybody is, if you've ever tried making a cocktail with the egg white and it didn't foam very well, that could be one of the reasons why. That ice is just not super helpful at that juncture.
Exactly. So we got it in a good shape. I'm going to go over to my refrigerator freezer here and add some ice to it. There's nothing better than a home cocktail with some fridge ice.
Nice.
All right.
What else do we expect? We all.
What was that, Katie? Sorry. Not
Okay.
exactly the most high-tech ice machine over here.
Home ice, what we've all had to deal with. And I will say anecdotally, somebody said $1 million ice in the comments. And the cube that I use, since we have been sheltering in place, I have been making ice like it has been my job. I 4 at a time every single day for the last couple of months. And my husband's just been giving me a little bit of grief that like maybe you need to slow it down because the cocktailing is getting out of hand.
Well, you know what? Variety is the spice of life. So if you keep trying multiple different ices and you find one you land on that you love, you win.
For me, True Cubes, it's working. I'll give them a big shout out and a plug.
There you go. In a perfect world, I'd have a cold draft machine right in my kitchen.
Yep.
And maybe one day, but for now we're using fresh ice.
The things that we can look forward to.
Yeah, and you know, I did want to potentially like set up some nice cubes and all that stuff, but the other day I was looking through my freezer, and because of everything that's going on, it's full of frozen food and no room for ice making. So I was like, all right, well, you can't win them all. What are you going to do?
Yeah, we do what we can. I have to
Exactly.
say, frozen strawberries, frozen fruit, even put it in wine sometimes. Just it's like, hey, it's what I've got. It'll work.
Certainly. So we've got our ice in here. I'm going to shake this down and get it down to the chilled temperature that I'm looking for. So we'll give it a little bit. All right. She sounds ready.
Awesome. So do you do that by you do that by sound to know when it's properly mixed and when it feels cool enough?
Yeah, I think my general rule of thumb is for people, especially who are newer to bartending, you want to do a minimum of 10 seconds of shaking. And that's really going to promote the foam that you want. It's going to get the drink chilled down to the level you want, but it really depends on the type of ice you're using. 10 seconds with a giant ball of ice is going to be different than 10 seconds with shaved ice. So I made this cocktail a few different times, obviously all using fridge ice, and because it's smaller ice, I get the chill that I want, I get the dilution of the ice that I want, and about the time that I just shook, so I'm happy with that.
Awesome.
So now,
who's at home, you are watching to Martini Lunch. I am Katie Long with Splinter Group Spirit, and my guest down here is Vincent Rossetti, or Vinny Rossetti. There we are, from Eater Brothers, and we are mixing up an adult recess. So hope that you have something fun in your glass. Drop us a comment if you have any questions about what we're making or cocktailing in general, or even about our spirits, the Partner Sweet Vermouth, the Whipsaw Rye. And thank you for all the waves. We're super excited to have everybody here, so thank you. And now back to you, Vinny.
wonderful. So what I'm doing now is I'm straining the cocktail into my chilled coupe glass. And for those watching who are, a little newer maybe to the cocktailing scene, I'm going to tell you there's a lot of things you can skip when making a great cocktail, but having a chilled glass is great, especially when you're doing cocktails that are served up or without ice, because you want that thing to stay as cold as possible for as long as possible. And that chilled glass is really going to help your case. Now I'm double straining the cocktail. Anybody who's ever been to, you go to your local oyster bar and you have a dirty martini with a dozen oysters, and you get that martini and your first sip is full of ice chips. What the double straining is doing, I have this fine strainer here, it's removing those ice chips, so all I have in here is the cocktail. Those ice chips are also over diluting your cocktail because they're going to eventually melt, and the flavor profile you're going for isn't going to be what you had hoped initially. So we got that baby in there. I'm going to set our shaker and strainer to the side. And what's going to happen is over the next couple of seconds, you can possibly see I have this light layer of foam at the top. Yep. As the cocktail settles, that foam is going to expand a little bit as it rises to the top. And we're going to have our cocktail right there.
Beautiful. So perfect for a summer day, just a little bit of watermelon, some honey, some citrus. I did do a splash of the soda water. We've got a little egg white, and we're using the Partner Sweet Vermouth along with the whipsaw rye. This almost felt a little bit like a take on a pisco sour when I was whipping it up, and it's super refreshing for summer. Have you, how did you kind of come up with the inspiration for this?
So like I said, there's almost a cheating way to make a cocktail, and that's to have this book called The Flavor Bible. It's something one of my chef friends told me about. So I purchased it, and I don't know if I'll ever let the book leave my side. You just kind of look at what flavors you want to start with, and then you open the Bible to that particular flavor, and it gives you a great list of plenty of things that you can work with. Nice. So I knew that basil was a big component of the vermouth.
Yes.
So I started there. Took me right to lemon. And they list the flavors in the Bible in different ways to tell you the degree in which it goes with the particular flavor you're looking for. So lemon stood out. And watermelon lemonade during the summer is one of my favorite things to drink. Like, there's not much better on a hot day. So that's where my brain went. And I thought, well, I have whiskey. It's going to be a summer-style cocktail. I want to make sure that it's lighter. So I think those flavors really well balance that sort of spiciness and that depth that comes with the whiskey. So I played around for a little bit. After trying the cocktail a few different ways, I really wanted to explore the depth of that basil flavor, which is why I muddled it in there. And then after all that, I thought the cocktail needed a little bit of a zip. So I added that soda water in there at the end, and it came together very nicely.
Awesome. I have to tell you, it is so refreshing. I've made it a couple of times in order to do that research and development that I told you about.
Yes. R&D is very important.
Yeah. But now I'm thinking, so we might need to make the hummus with the leftover chickpeas. But what other flavors do you want to kind of pair with it? Does anything sound like you'd be craving with this cocktail?
I mean, it would be hard not to go to a summer salad, something like that. Caprese, like you said earlier, I think would pair great with it. That's the funny thing about cocktails is you put all this effort to pair these flavors well together in this drink, and then it's like, well, what can I eat with it? I think lighter foods, because I wanted to make the cocktail lighter, a little more focused on summer. Certainly those appetizers would be a great start, and then maybe if you do get if you end up at Robbie Williams' house and he's grilling for you and he's making that Partner Sweet Vermouth marinated steak, you can go right to the whiskey by itself for the entree. But I'll let you know how that goes for sure.
Looking for that invitation, so Rob, just let us know whenever we can expect that to be coming through. Yep.
Call me, Rob.
I was just so struck by kind of the fact that it does feel a little bit like a pisco sour. I was wondering about crudo or ceviche. Again, like you were talking about lighter dishes. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah. There is some great ceviche spots around here. I think that's a great idea. And you actually reminded me, yesterday I had the most aggressive craving for oysters. I think because of the lemon citrus note to this, give me some oysters with a little bit of a hot sauce in there, and I think I'm pretty set.
Awesome. Oh, we see somebody's offering to make us pizza. I've got Scoop and Wine 7. I'll make you pizza. Let's take them up on it.
I'm not one to turn down pizza. Katie, have you ever been out to the East Coast, out to Connecticut?
I have. It's been a little while. I had the pleasure of working in the Boston area with Rob a couple of years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I am overdue for a visit. So again, I will be keeping an eye out for that invitation.
So what you have to do when you come out here is we have to take you out to New Haven. New Haven is the pizza capital of the world. And certainly there's going to be a lot of people out there that say New York. New York pizza is fantastic. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the people that say Chicago pizza. But to each their own.
Chicago, New Haven, New York, Naples. Put your vote in for your favorite pizza.
Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Connecticut people on here, so it might be skewed one way. But Connecticut pizza, New Haven pizza is the best in the world. And all it takes is one bite. You're a believer. So certainly when you're out here, we'll make sure we hit some pizza spots so you can get the real New Haven experience out here.
I am seeing a bit of New Haven, but also a little New York, NYC. All right.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to take a couple trips, try pizza here, try pizza there. I mean, it's tough work, but somebody's got to do it.
Ouch, you've twisted my arm.
That's great.
Back to the cocktail for a hot second. I do have a couple of questions. Some folks were writing in about why or what can you use if you don't have a shaker, which I'm embarrassed to say was me today. But then also tools for muddling and how do you approach this? And you talked about the slapping of the basil to really just get the aromas out. What do you do if you don't have a muddler?
If you don't have a muddler, you can use a variety of things. You have a wooden spoon. I just look around my kitchen. A wooden spoon would be great, or even a ladle. You just need a somewhat larger, flat-ish surface that you can press it in and really release those flavors. If you don't have a shaker, Tupperware. Two glasses, a thermos.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Katie, brilliant.
Well, I was taking your idea of adult recess. It's like, well, if I'm going to be outside on the playground, my thermos, and of course my safety, my plastic cup, my plastic coupe, if you will.
I like it.
It's just, paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, look, the shakers, the strainers, the muddlers, everything can be played with. I just happen to have these things in the house. But, if you have a tiny cup and a cutting board you can put over it, you could shake a cocktail in there, no problem.
Essentially, I'm hearing you're saying don't let the lack of tools or even exact ingredients that you're talking about stand in the way of making a cocktail.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite rule for making cocktails is use what you have. And if you're making something and you're not sure what amount you should put in there, you can always add more. So start with what you might think work and then work your way up.
There you go. And, if somebody used cantaloupe instead of watermelon, it might be sweeter. So they might even need less of the honey syrup, for example. And if you don't have basil, maybe you could try mint. That would be another fun flavor.
Mm-hmm. Cilantro might work.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Kind of give it a bit of a savory kick.
Yeah. I mean, the world is our oyster. So whatever you guys have in the house, that's where you sometimes end up with creating something amazing that maybe you weren't intending to create. Invention is sort of, this necessity of need. And if you need something and you don't have it, well, what's close, right?
No. Well, I think the whole experience has taught us a little bit about being scrappy, putting something together. It's about the experience. Take care of yourself, take care of your friends and neighbors, take care of one another, and just be kind.
I agree, Katie. That's well said.
Well, and on that note, if anybody has any questions, drop them in the comment section really quick. I have been Katie Long with Splinter Group Spirits.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, sir. Vinny Rossetti. I'm in wine country, you're in Connecticut, and hopefully one of these days we'll get a chance to raise a glass and cheers in person. But until then,
Can't wait.
wish everybody out there a thank you for tuning in today. And please be kind, drink well. So, Vinny, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
All right, everybody, we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.